So today I'm going to show how easy it is to use a sweet new sorcery from Wilds of Eldraine to consistently find the combo pieces necessary to clear your opponent's whole board. Hey everyone, Hex here, and today I'm refreshing an older, inconsistent combo with a new card to take it to another level. As always though, if you haven't yet, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. It massively helps out, and needless to say, I really appreciate all your support you give this channel. But onto this deck, and I'm going to pair the Obliterator fight combo with Beseech the Mirror in a semi-toolbox style shell with access to other amazing cards too. So in case you didn't know the combo, Phyrexian Obliterator is a 5/5 Phyrexian horror for 4 black mana with trample that says whenever a source deals damage to this creature, that source's controller sacrifices that many permanents. Now normally opponents won't block this card or attack into it, so to get full use of its potential we use fight spells to fight our opponent's creatures with this one. Ideally a chunky 10/10 from your opponent. In this case they would have to sacrifice 10 permanents, normally giving us the win there and then. Our fight spell in this deck is Bushwhack, which although a sorcery both lets you fight your Obliterator and also helps you hit your early land drops. So previously it's not always easy to get these cards exactly when you need them, but I want to introduce you to Beseech the Mirror. For 4 mana you can tutor any 4 CMC or less spell from your deck, and if you also bargained the Beseech, you can play it for free that turn. If not, you put it in your hand. This card is great for finding combo pieces, but because all of our cards are 4 CMC or less, the chances of us finding an answer to any threat on the board are pretty high. You can easily change up the cards in the deck if you didn't want to do the whole Obliterator combo and make a more toolbox style deck, but as a combo enabler I cannot think of a better card at the moment. Bargain requires enchantments, artifacts or tokens to sack, and we have a load of these here. Firstly, Hopeless Nightmare. It's a 1-drop enchantment that makes an opponent discard a card and lose 2 life. Then when this card leaves the battlefield you get to scry 2. It's a great card to bargain even if the scry doesn't always matter as you're going to tutor anyway. We have Lord Skitter to deal with any graveyard threats and make some sackable rats. Trust me, this card got me out of a lot of pickles today against Reanimator decks, and don't forget you can tutor for this card if you need to. We've also got Jadar. It churns out zombies and is great here because it pairs so well with our next creature and our secondary win con, Braids. Braids allows you to sacrifice permanents to do damage and draw cards. Opponents are always reluctant to sack their permanents, so there's a lot of value here. The zombie made from Jadar simply just reappears every turn, so you lose no real board presence. I've also got Mosswood Dreadknight for some amazing early value, more Braids fodder, and if nothing more, a 2 mana 3/2. And then Glissa. Glissa is also great at fighting with due to its stats, so is an easy include here, but again another creature opponents won't want to block anyway. I'm going for a copy of Wrenn and Realmbreaker. I love this card when paired with our creature land Restless Cottage. I've got a copy of Tandem Takedown. It's a little bit more pricey than Bushwhack, but at instant speed it can help take down bigger threats, and if you have 2 Obliterators on the board you can clear even more permanents. We've got Path of Peril, Go for the Throats and Cut Downs as removal. All great to tutor if need be, but I want to focus a lot on the combo here, so if we hit that we should be able to clear a lot of the permanents anyway, so I'm going slightly light on the removal in this Golgari deck. We've got 25 lands and that is the deck. Like I mentioned earlier, in a toolbox deck you can put whatever cards you want, so feel free to throw whatever you need to help with your threats that you are encountering in the meta you're facing. I do though love combos that can be hit consistently, and with Beseech the Mirror this is it. You've got to give it a go if you've ever tried making the Obliterator combo work but found it just a bit too janky. Anyway, if you have any thoughts on this deck or cards I should be playing going forward, you can let me know in the comments below or find me over on Twitter, and as always, thank you for watching. Alright, on the play, and yeah, definite keeper here. Couple of nice early plays from us, and Beseech the Mirror, so we can find any cards we want to find on turn 4. We can use the zombie that Jadar churns out to help bargain that one. But I think in the meantime we'll use Dread Whispers, which is the adventure side of Mosswood Dreadknight there. Opponent with Zeatora and Spara's Headquarters, so maybe a domain style deck. We'll just go for the Dreadknight now. 3/2 on the battlefield and we can hold up Cut Down. Second Beseech the Mirror there from us. And it is a Phyrexian Fleshgorger, okay. So this might point towards the combo deck, the Invasion of Alara combo deck. So we'll see what we can do. If we can try and find... We'll use both these Beseech the Mirrors, actually. We could find the Obliterator with one, and then one of the fight spells with the other one. We can hopefully get rid of some of the opponent's lands, slow them down, and win in the meantime. I think that's the plan in this game. I want to keep this Flesh Gorger alive, though, then, because we want to make sure that we have a card that the opponent has to fight with. They play Bramble Familiar and attack with a Flesh Gorger. And we'll just shoot this Familiar now whilst we have a cut down available. Okay, and there is our Glade. So could attack with the Cottage now. But I like the Beseech in the Mirror here. And let's try and put some pressure on them. We'll get rid of the 2/2. And I think we're just going to go straight for the Obliterator. I feel like if the opponent had removal, they may have already cast it. So yeah, we're looking good next turn if our Obliterator and this 2/2 are still around. See what the opponent wants to do. They have 5 mana now. They're going to bounce our Obliterator with their land. Okay, I'm still okay with that. There's Braids for us. Alright, well I'm just going to go back for the Obliterator. And I'm just going to attack with the token and the 3/2. I'm going to hold back the other 2 cards. It might make the opponent a little more reluctant to want to attack us with their Flesh Gorger. And just getting in there with a 1/1 wouldn't have made too much difference anyway. They do find their 6th mana though. And Herb Migration is discarded to gain 3 life. And they find a mountain. So next turn they'll be on their 7 mana, which is the sort of crux for their deck. They can get all their plays down on 7, so we absolutely need to try and combo off here. We do find Tandem Takedown, though, which is a fight spell. It uses 2 of our creatures to fight, but I think I'm going to go for Beseech, because we get to find the Bushwhack, which is a sorcery, and if we absolutely need to respond with the Takedown, we can. So we'll go for the Bushwhack here. It's funny using a 4-mana mythic sorcery to find this 1-mana Bushwhack. But this should be good enough for the opponent to have to sacrifice a couple of lands here. 3 permanents here as we're fighting the Obliterator with their 3/3. And yeah, they get rid of their Familiar. They go down to 4 mana, and we still have the Tandem Takedown available at instant speed. I think we'll just play Braids here, put them on the back foot even more, and this is the combo that Braids has with Jadar, as we get to sacrifice our token there. Opponent goes down to 9, we draw another Cottage, and this should be lethal. We can attack with the Restless Cottage, and yeah, we take down the Invasion of Alara deck. Nice. Alright, on the play. Very nice hand with 2 Beseech the Mirrors. You got to feel that we should be okay here to try and combo off. We get to play the Restless Cottage turn 1 though, which is a nice early land for us. So we find Go for the Throat. No land there, so I am going to use the Bushwhack here just to make sure we hit our land drop for next turn. Yeah, and then we can play Glissa next turn if we need to, but in the meantime, Hopeless Nightmare. It's going to make the opponent discard a card, lose 2 life. And they discard a Cathar Commando. Okay, so nice card if we can fight against one of these commandos. Yeah, they play another one. It's a 3/1. Obviously, they can sacrifice it to destroy an enchantment, and if they want to destroy my Nightmare, so be it. But this is high time for Lord Skitter, I think. Get to eat their card from their graveyard, make a rat, which is going to be brilliant for Beseeching next turn if we find an untapped land. It's Intrepid Adversary. Okay. And they just go to attack with a 3/1. Well, I'm not blocking that. And that is an untapped land. Okay. So yeah, we'll just make another rat with our Lord Skitter. We will Beseech. And opponent has shown us that they've missed a land drop. So going straight for the Obliterator here. And this should be a pretty nice victory if they can't deal with the Obliterator or our rat and our enchantment. So I'm really liking where we are. And it's wedding announcement for our opponent. A little bit annoying against a sort of Obliterator deck as they can just sacrifice their 1/1s, but I think we just go for the win here. Or not win, but go for the combo. We'll get rid of the Hopeless Nightmare. I'll leave my rat on the battlefield for the moment. And I guess it doesn't really matter what we put on the top because we're going to be tutoring in our deck anyway. And we'll find a fight spell. I'm going to pick Tandem Takedown this time. And we'll just use the one of our creatures. Phyrexian Obliterator becomes a 6/5, I think it is. And we'll get them to fight the... Okay, opponent scoops it up when they saw what was happening, but they were going to have to lose 3 permanents there. Alright, on the play with a non-starter here, just the 1 untapped black mana. This hand's good though, and I think we will put the Bushwhack to the bottom. We have some good cards here. The Jadar and Braids combo is a real nice value engine. But we'll play this Swamp untapped so we hold open cut down and opponent with Kumano. So I'm glad we've got the cut down. Oh, I'm also glad we've got Go for the Throat as well. So untapped land there for us. And we'll take out whatever creature they want to cast here. It's a Phoenix Jig. As a 2/2. They go to attacks. We'll attempt to cut that down. They may have a Monstrous Rage, which would save it. And they don't. Another Kumano. And an untapped mana for us. Well, I think we'll play the Cottage here and just keep the Go for the Throat available to take out any big threats that come our way. But we are going to get hit by an Etchin. A 2/2. And a Godric. Okay. So Godric down as a 5/5. I'm very happy we have Go for the Throat here. We take care of their sort of centerpiece card. Just take 2 damage. And there's another copy of Braids, which we will cast now. And, yeah, I'm going to sacrifice a land. I think I'm going to sacrifice our Swamp because this will put some pressure on the opponent. They get rid of a mountain themselves. We don't need more than 3 mana. Well, in fact, we don't need more than 4 mana in this deck. Everything is 4 CMC or less. But, opponent has a way to deal with our Braids as they play with Fire It as we block their creature, but... We have another one in reserve. And I'm certainly not going to sacrifice my land this time. Okay, well, we find a Swamp, so we can start sacrificing lands again now. But the better play is Jadar. It's going to churn out zombies, which we can sacrifice with Braids. And opponent can always sacrifice their own Etchin to stop us from drawing a card. But they don't. Okay, well, they go to attack with their 2/2. No blocks. And it is a Monstrous Rage for them. So we go down to 9. Okay, another Swamp. And I'm just going to go to attacks here. We need to turn the tables a little bit. We'll get in there with the Cottage. Jadar. No, actually, I think we'll just attack with everyone, you know, because this will put a lot of pressure on the opponent here. We do get a food, so unless they can do 9 damage to us, I think we're in a decent place. We'll sacrifice the zombie. They go back down to 7. Alright, so they're dead if they can't kill us. And, yeah, they just explode. Alright, on the draw. Pretty decent hand for us. We have a Hopeless Nightmare here as our 1-drop. No 2-drops, though. Opponent with a Skrelv, okay. Okay, and there's a Beseech the Mirror. Alright, so we have the Obliterator and Beseech in our hand. So I'm crossing my fingers here that we can get to turn 4 and then do some major damage. Opponent with Thalia, though. That is going to slow us down a little bit. So we still get to play Hopeless Nightmare this turn. So the problem with Thalia is it's going to tax our Beseech, but it's also going to tax our quote-unquote free spell. So this might be a case where we actually have to Beseech and put it into our hand to play it the following turn. We'll see how this goes. Opponent with a Vendor, though. So they look like they're on kind of mono-white. I want to say aggro. I'm not sure how we're going to deal with this. We do have a copy of Path of Peril in our deck, so maybe we're beseeching for that. But in the meantime, we'll play a 3/3. At least this puts some presence on the board. They can always activate their Skrelv to get through this, though, if they wanted to. I just love Lord Skitter. I mean, I've only got the 2 copies in here because it's not always necessary in this deck. The rats it produces are great for the Beseech. But opponent with the Coppercoat Vanguard, which unfortunately buffs their whole team. So I think we're going to have to block here. We have another Lord Skitter in our hand, and we just can't take 6 damage that turn. Especially as we eke our way up to where we need to. So normally we would be beseeching next turn, but we're going to have to wait a few. Unless we can find a way to get rid of Thalia here. So we'll put our Lord Skitter back onto the battlefield, and obviously no attacks with our rats. And it is Anointed Peacekeeper, okay. Annoying Peacekeeper, I want to call it today because that's going to name... Well, it named Braids. I think that's probably a good call. We can't cast the Obliterator at the minute because we've got our only forest on the battlefield. But Glissa is a decent drop for us here. They could just start activating Skrelv and jamming with their Peacekeeper. That is something they could do if they wanted to get some damage through, but I guess they're reluctant to activate Skrelv, using it as a defensive play. And they attack us with Thalia. We'll block with Glissa. Can't keep taking damage, and here's another Thalia for them. And a Recruitment Officer, okay. And a Swamp. So without Thalia here, we would be beseeching for a Path of Peril, probably. Taking out their board except for the Peacekeeper. But maybe we can fight next turn. But they've got so many creatures on the battlefield, I'm not sure if the Obliterator's fight combo is going to be too good here. But hopefully this Obliterator, as a 5/5, will make them reluctant to attack into it anyway. But like I said, they can just activate their Skrelv. They may have missed a little bit of damage by not doing that. We do have a Go for the Throat, but we don't have the mana to use it at the minute. Another Peacekeeper for them. And they do name Beseech the Mirror, so I think that card's pretty redundant in our hand, to be honest. It's costing us currently 7 mana, and then would have to be taxed on the card that it wants to cast. But we'll drop Braids here. Maybe Braids can give us some value to find a way, maybe start poking the opponent for some damage here. I think we'll get rid of this Hopeless Nightmare, see what we're going to scry next. Okay, well, we drew a Path of Peril, which is the card we were going to beseech for. There's only one in this deck, so pretty lucky draw for us then. I don't think we need mana right now, because if this turns out the way I'm hoping it to turn out, opponent's just going to be left with a couple of Peacekeepers. The Beseech is not going to be taxed, so we can find one of our fight spells if we need to. And I guess before anything, we'll just attack with these rats. See if the opponent wants to let this damage through. It's got to be a pretty daunting sight when we attack with 5 1/1s into their board. Surely they know what's coming. Obviously, why would we do this otherwise? Just for 2 damage? So I think most people would, on their end, would expect some kind of board wipe now. We do manage to poke them for 2. And Path of Peril is going to clear the board except for our 3 permanents. They do activate their Recruitment Officer. I think they're going to keep both their Peacekeepers here. And we do have Go for the Throat available, but the important thing with Go for the Throat here is we can just wait. We're under no real pressure anymore. And we find a Bushwhack. Alright, excellent. So next turn we can do some work here. See what the opponent wants to play. Spellbook Vendor, okay. So they're going to target, I guess, one of the Peacekeepers, and we're going to go for the throat the other Peacekeeper to make sure that there's a 4/4 on the board for us to fight with next turns for maximum value. So they don't attack, they never do into the Obliterators. We'll take care of this 3/3. And yeah, we should be able to just Bushwhack our Obliterator onto their Peacekeeper. We even find a Hopeless Nightmare to get rid of that card that's in their hand. It is a Plains, and this should be good for us here. They have to sacrifice 4 permanents, and then hopefully Braids and the Lord Skitter can finish this off, and opponent scoops it up. Nice top deck from us there. Alright, on the draw. Not the greatest hand in the world for us. Hopeless Nightmare is a nice little draw for us there, but I think with the opponent just playing a forest, we'll play our Restless Cottage here. Get that out of the way. Get the tap land out of the way. And Lord Skitter is our draw. Lord Skitter, an amazing draw actually, because opponent has Diagraph Rebirth shining away in their graveyard over there. So they are a Reanimator deck. So I'm kind of hoping that Lord Skitter can just do most of the work here. And it is Bushwhack for our opponent. There's a Titan in their graveyard as well, it looks like. So yeah, I mean, this has got to be devastating for them. We're going to play Lord Skitter here. And as we go to combat, we're going to deal with that Diagraph Rebirth. Yeah, they got Lich Knight's Conquest in their hand, in their graveyard too, so that's their deck. And unless they can kill this rat, I think we might be okay. We'll go to combat and we'll take care of the Titan, which would be the Reanimator target. And they just scoop it up. What a card to have at that moment.